All right, what's going on? What's up? What's up? It's Nathan here from Tribal Entrepreneurs, where we talk about, marketing and making your marketing a bit clearer for the customer and easier for your customer to understand so that you can sell more stuff. Pretty simple. You just want the customer to like you. You want them to understand what you're saying and what you have to offer so that then they just go and buy it. That's what I'm all about. And that's what Tribal Entrepreneurs is all about. If you haven't joined the community, you should head over to Facebook and join Tribal Entrepreneurs, where I spark a bit of conversation. I like to generate people's thoughts, and I like to be polarizing sometimes, which is kind of fun. So head over there if you haven't seen, or you want to see more of my lives or more stuff that I share. Head over there and just join the group. And today's live is all about being specific with your marketing. Being specific so that your prospect or your target audience aren't confused and aren't uncertain about what it is you have to offer, and they're not uncertain about where they might be after interacting with your brand, or buying your product, or or taking on your service. So yeah, jump over to Tribal Entrepreneurs if you haven't already, and I might just wait 20 more seconds, see if anyone jumps on. If you're watching the replay, give me a hashtag replay. And as always, if you're going to jump on one of the lives, give me a hashtag live so we can, get some of these comments rolling, get the ball rolling, and as I said, spark a bit of that conversation, which is always fun. And all right, so let's do it. So as I said, today's all about being specific. And let me just get these slides I had up. Yeah. So you need to be specific with your marketing. Are you selling a mug, or are you selling a handmade Greek painted mug that contains 89% of the heat so that your delicious wintry drinks are keeping you warm on the coldest of days? Even Santa wishes he had one. So you see what I did there? Being specific, adding some specificity around, what I'm actually trying to say, instead of just saying, look, I sell a mug. Say a few more things, be a bit more specific about what the mug is, where it's from, what it's made of, stuff like that. And, it takes your prospect or your target audience on a little bit of a mental journey, and just tells a story. So, everyone loves to go on a mental journey, and everyone loves stories. So people get sold on stories. It brings out emotions and things like that. So, be specific and you'll sell more things. All right, as I said, specificity creates emotion, or brings out some emotion. It gets those emotions rolling, because people tend to buy products based on emotion, and if we can work towards creating marketing, creating messaging that brings out some of those emotions in our customers or in our audience, then they'll be more likely to go on and buy your stuff. It might not be immediately, but it could be down the track. Usually the emotion is a big play in that sort of immediate sale. You build up those emotions to a point where the customer goes, damn, I need this. It's going to fix my life, fix all my problems in my life. Doesn't matter what you sell. Try and create emotion, and you can do that with specificity, tell stories, stuff like that. But today's about specificity. As I said, mental movies. Again, you're telling that story, you're bringing out those emotions, and by being specific and taking them down a path of specificity, it gets that mind rolling. It gets those images in that head. Gets those images rolling, and it gets those emotions out, and it just creates clear messaging. And that's why I've got clarity there as well. If we can create clear messaging, we're getting rid of that noise in our customer's head, or that uncertainty when it comes to making a buying decision. And because with uncertainty comes hovering around that buy button, or just going off and going, oh, I'm gonna think about it and buy it later. If you can get rid of some of that uncertainty about what your product is, or where it might take your potential customer or your audience, then you'll go a lot further in selling your products. All right. So your competition isn't doing this. Your competition is telling their customers how great they are and how they have a solution to their problem. How they have a solution to your problem. No, I said that wrong again. So your competition is telling your target audience, your customers, how great they are and how they have a solution to your customer's problem. You need to be specific. So if you can go about this by going, taking your customer on a journey of how great you are because you have the best, most delicious ingredients. Let's say you're talking about a pizza shop. What's up? If you're jumping on, give me a hashtag live. I don't know who it is, but yeah, let's get involved. Hopefully you enjoy this live. So let's say you're a pizza shop or something, or you're some sort of food joint. So your competition's saying, "Oh, hey, our pizzas are great, and we're gonna solve your hunger problems by giving you some of our delicious pizza." Now, what you're gonna do is go, you're gonna take your customers on a journey. You're gonna go, "Yes, we have the best, most delicious ingredients sourced from the mountains of Italy, sealed with the most delicious seal of approval, whilst offering a mouth-watering aftertaste brought about by just the right amount of herbs, 3 pinches, all made with love by Nonna's favorite grandson, which the family recipe was passed down after being forgotten for 100 years, then found in a family secret chest that was sealed for generations." So you see what I did there? I basically created this little story. I made this up. Created this little story about some pizza joint, and all I did was I was being specific about what the pizza is I'm actually offering, where it came from, who made it. By adding specificity to this message, it's making me hungry. It's dinner time here, so it's making me hungry. I might actually go buy some pizza after this. But it gets those emotions. As I said before, if you're just jumping on, I might just go back a slide. With specificity. Today is about being specific. With specificity, you create emotion, you get those mental movies rolling and you create clarity around your messaging and your brand. So, as I was doing with this, adding a bit of specificity, you get those mental movies rolling. I'm imagining this pizza being so delicious and I can actually taste it. And that was brought about by, by saying the delicious ingredients sourced from mountains, and some herbs were added there, and Nonna's grandson made it. That all just gets those emotions rolling, and makes my mouth water. So that's just an example I made up of specificity. As I said, creating those mental movies builds that emotion and builds trust with your customer as well, or with your audience. By taking them on that journey, you're getting rid of some of that uncertainty that your prospect might have, and you're getting rid of some of that uncertainty. Hey, Jamie, what's going on, man? Thanks for tuning in. You get rid of some of that uncertainty in your customer's mind, and by getting rid of some of that uncertainty, you're creating that trust, you're creating that bond, and you're getting those emotions rolling by, creating that mental imagery. And they can feel, taste, or envision their absolute end goal, which is what you're trying to achieve. So, you build on emotion, you build on trust, you build on authority, and you build on likability. As I've got those dot points there, I think that they're quite important, and that's what specificity goes to add to your messaging or your marketing or your storytelling. Doesn't matter what you're doing. If authors weren't specific, their books would be boring, right? Because you wouldn't have that mental movie going. You wouldn't have that imagery running in your head. Thanks, man. You're hungry. Here's another little example. I thought this one was a bit funny. I was laughing when I was writing it, actually. Do you sell socks? If you sell socks, what your competition might be saying is, our socks are handmade with fine Italian wool. Buy them now. They're cheap. What you're going to say is, our socks are handmade by Giuseppe himself with the finest Italian wool and colored with natural colors taken from earth and rock high in the Italian Alps. Giuseppe's youngest brother climbs the mountain himself to reach a spot where the sands of the earth are a maze of nearly every color in the rainbow. The sand is hand scooped into a skin bag, which is then sealed tight so as to not let contaminated air from the lower regions reach its grains. The grains are then mixed in water from the depths of the Mediterranean Sea to create a paste of color that naturally dyes your beautifully crafted sock the color of your choosing, blah, 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 blah. So, what I was specific about there is, the process of, how the sock's made, by being specific about the process, and then being even more specific about, the elements of that process. and I don't even know if these sort of socks exist or not. It'd be ridiculous if they did. I don't think Giuseppe or his younger brother would be climbing mountains to collect sand with their hand. But it's just an example, and I think you probably get what I mean. It's giving you what your competition's doing. A simple, basic. This is what it is, and then what you're doing is creating that mental movie, creating that imagery. And then, your customer goes, yeah, this is awesome. I love the story surrounding this. I love that, the color comes from the depths of the Mediterranean Sea and the Italian Alps. That's awesome. I'm going to go buy that. And now I'm not uncertain about, how these socks are made or if they're good quality or not. Just another, crappy example that I wrote in about 2 minutes. Another example, which is probably more relevant to some of the people jumping on, do you sell info products? What do your competitors say? And they probably say, we sell info products that are a solution to your problem. Buy our stuff, which, yeah, cool. You're going to solve my problem. I might buy it. Or I'm going to go with this guy who goes, we live to find a solution to your problem. Inside, you'll find 83 hours of content, which was filmed and edited in answer to our most common questions. All the content is broken down into 12 modules, which we have worked to individually solve each small problem your business has. With each module, you'll get one full hour call with our leader in which they'll personally help you understand and apply the module you'll complete, blah, 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 blah. So again, you're being specific about what the content is, what the actual product is, and what you're offering to the prospect and things like that. So again, when you're writing this stuff, it's just all about remembering that someone's actually on the other end reading this. What would you want to read if you're reading an ad or some sales copy to an info product? Do you want to read, we've got this great thing that solves your problem. It's half price. You've got 3 minutes to take action, which, that stuff works. Awesome. But adding a bit of specificity, it doesn't have to go in depth as this, but adding, it's 12 modules. We have 83 hours of content. And, our boss, our leader, the guy that created this product, this brand, he's going to jump on a call with you personally and help you apply it to whatever it is you're doing. So just another example, probably relevant to some of the people who are jumping on now. If you're jumping on, give me a hashtag live. If you're not in the Tribal Entrepreneurs group, you should join at Tribal Entrepreneurs on Facebook. And so, being specific about just some of the things that you might offer or might be involved in your product or your brand, will go a long way to selling your prospect even further. It's about creating that mental imagery. It's about taking them on a journey and just telling a story. And you can see with these examples how, this stuff can actually work if you add just a little bit of specificity, just a few, dashes of it into your marketing. This stuff works. And, one of the things that I wanted to talk about and where specificity can be, most important is, yes, those examples I mentioned before, it's being specific with some words and creating, using verbs and pronouns and stuff like that to get that mental imagery rolling. But let's take a step back from that. It's not just our copywriting now. Specificity comes into understanding your customer to a T, and then so that in your messaging and in your marketing, you can be specific about where your customer or prospect or target audience is coming from and where they're going to with your brand or with your product. So if you can understand, your prospect's fear or problem and that specific fear, that specific problem, you can, and then understand the specific solution or the emotions surrounding that solution. How does your customer feel? How do they act? What's their status? What do they do with their day? It's about understanding them. Then you can be specific in your messaging about where you're taking your prospect from and where you're taking them to with your brand or your product or your service or your help. And if you're on the other end of this, if your audience is reading, some of your messaging or your ads or whatever, if they're reading that and going, this guy understands me. He understands the specific problem I'm in. You might push away some of that audience you're targeting, but that doesn't really matter. You're targeting, at a specific level. And if you can target specificity and be really specific, where your customer is and where they're going to go to with your help, that goes a long way to selling more products and getting customers on board and spending time and spending money with you as well. Thanks, Jamie, man. Cheers for the comments. You seem to be one of the only ones jumping on today, but that's all right. I think a few people should see the replay, which is pretty cool. This is some stuff that I'm pretty passionate about. I think if you can, really just it's all about taking a step back and just, putting yourself in your customer's chair, your prospect's chair, and going, yes, there's someone else on the other end of this phone or on the other end of this computer or on the other end of this book. They're reading this. What do they want to see? How do they want to feel? How do I make them feel differently? How do I make them feel great? And by making them feel great, making them like you, making them trust you, you just sell more stuff. It's that simple. It's easy. So this is probably the most important slide I wanted to take away. I've got those little stories, being specific with your storytelling and, where your paper's from and stuff like that. But if you can really be specific about where your customer is on an emotional level, what their day is like, how they feel, if you can really understand that to a specific T and mention that in your messaging, and then take them on a journey to a specific point, their goal, where they want to be, and you can make them, you can get those emotions bubbling out of, what their goal is, where they want to be, what their status might be, what their average day might be like with your product, your service, your brand, then, as I said, it becomes, a lot easier. Yes, that's basically all I wanted to talk about today. As I mentioned, before, if you're liking some of this content, if you're on, my page or YouTube or something like that, jump into the Tribal Entrepreneurs group. I like to spark a bit of conversation, and I like to get, people's thoughts, moving into different places and just thinking about, the things that actually their customers are probably thinking about, and, what might help them sell more products and make a difference in the end. It's all about making a difference. That's why we do this. So take this slide away and understand it. There'll be more about, this specific slide in general, but if we can just take a couple of seconds to go, I should add a bit of specificity into my marketing, and add a few awesome verbs or pronouns to get that mental imagery going, and get that storytelling vibe going on in your customer's head. So that's what it's all about. Anyway, if you're jumping on live, give me a hashtag live. You've missed the bulk of it, but that's okay. We can watch a replay, and we can just chat on it if you want. On the journey, yes, that's right, Jamie G. On the journey, taking customers on a journey. That's what it is about. If you can take them on a journey that they enjoy, and makes them feel like they can achieve their goal, whether their goal is to get a big delicious pizza into their belly and enjoy it as they go, then you can create that goal, that imagery, by using specificity. Don't just go, I sell pizza. Buy some pizza. It's delicious. You need to tell them why it's delicious, where it's made, who makes it. Because all this stuff gets rid of uncertainty and just clarifies a bit of your message, and gets people on board with your message, which is, again, it's all about building a tribe. That's what the summit coming up is about, building a tribe. And that's why they've called the Facebook group Tribal Entrepreneurs, and we're building our own tribe in there. So, all right, well, I'm gonna kick it off here, and thanks for tuning in. If you tuned in, and if you're watching the replay again, leave a comment, leave me a hashtag replay, and let me know what you think of being specific or adding a bit of specificity into what you do, whether it's YouTube videos, stuff like that. Let me know what you think. And if you're not already, join Tribal Entrepreneurs on Facebook. It's an awesome group, and I do a lot of talking, a lot of stuff, and it's good fun. Anyway, I hope everyone has a really great evening. If it's evening wherever you are, if it's morning, have a great morning, and just generally be cool and think about your customer, tell stories, and you're going to be good. All right. Have a great day. See you later. Leave a comment, join the group, all of the above. Take care.